My name is Mathias Sundin. I'm a member of parliament for Folkpartiet, the Liberal Party here in Sweden. I live a couple of hours outside of Stockholm in Norrköping, Östergötland. I read the headlines about Bitcoin for a few years. I saw almost all the headlines have been about drug trades and and the volatility and speculation. So I really didn't bother. I didn't read the articles. I just saw the headlines and thought, well, that's some sort of new internet thing, nothing really serious. Then I listened to a podcast, a Swedish podcast. They discussed Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and I thought, well, maybe I missed something here. Maybe there's something really interesting here. And they recommended an article written by Mark Andreessen, the Netscape founder. And I always thought he has interesting ideas. So I read the article in New York Times, I think it was about a year ago. And then I realized, wow, this is really, really something. He said this is an invention of like the personal computer, like the internet, that magnitude. So I thought, well, I have to study up on this. So I really did. And I think maybe not sure. Maybe Bitcoin has a bright future, but Bitcoin could fail. But the blockchain technology, I think, has a really big potential. I wanted it to be a statement about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that this is a really interesting technology. It has the potential to really change a lot of things here in the world, and in many ways make it a better place. Like I said, the headlines has been about, there've been a lot of negative headlines about Bitcoin, and I want to try to change that perception a bit, so people could realize this is really something else. Yes, you can use it for criminal activity, just like you can use the dollar or krona for criminal activity. You can judge Bitcoin or the blockchain technology based on who uses it right now. The police have to hunt them down, those criminals, just like the criminals who deals in dollars. And I wanted to point out to people that the blockchain technology and everything you can build upon it like a platform. It's not just a currency. It's something much more that has enormous potential to transfer value over the internet in a safe and secure way. And I only accepted Bitcoin, no other cryptocurrencies. I could have accepted others, but really Bitcoin was the only one I had studied, so I didn't want to risk anything by accepting other currencies, and maybe some of them wasn't that serious. I think this is more long term. Had I received 500 bitcoins or anything like that, I guess more people would have tagged along immediately. But they saw I received about $1,000. So back then it was like 2 bitcoins. Today it's like 4 or 5, depending on the daily valuation. But there's some interest here in Sweden. People ask me about it. What is it really? They like me. They read the negative headlines. But what is it? What is it? Can you tell me how does this work and everything? They ask me all kind of technical details I can't explain, but I can explain the basic concept. And I think that's maybe one of my small contributions I can make to this development, is that there's a lot of geeks now in Bitcoin, and they're very good at explaining all the technical details for other geeks. I don't really understand that. I understand the basic concept, and maybe I can translate that into other people who are just as stupid as me. The lesser regulation, the better. But I think to be able to get people to accept cryptocurrencies, and of course we have to be able to fight crime and terrorism and everything. You have to have some sort of regulation. But just like the internet and the World Wide Web, I think part of the success has been that it hasn't been very much regulated. We have a lot of regulations that apply to the internet, for example, like I mentioned before, a lot of times, money laundering and everything. But you don't have to really regulate the internet to find, or you have to do it in some ways, but to be able to track down money laundering and everything. But I think the biggest my biggest job in this and is to fight regulation. I think there could be huge demands from the financial world and from from governments and everyone else to regulate, because they hope the regulation will kill it and they can live on happy forever with their old business models. So I think some sort of regulation will have to be in place, but the lesser the better, I think. It could be both it's both a good thing and a bad thing going forward. There's way too much information about everyone on the internet, and both governments and companies they can know a lot about your private life, and I think that's a problem. There's also, of course, good things with that. You get the services you prefer and everything like that. But so that could be a good thing about cryptocurrencies. They're more anonymous, but there could also be a problem with laws like money laundering and fighting terrorism and everything. The regulators could have a hard time accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies because of the anonymity. But there also, I've seen there's some sort of myth going on with, at least when you talk about Bitcoin with the bankers, for example. They think everything is anonymous, but it's up to you, really. If you want to exchange Bitcoin into dollars or krona or whatever, or the other way around, and those companies could demand that you're not anonymous. So it's really up to the players to decide which parts should be anonymous and not. So the anonymity is I think it could be both a problem and part of the success for Bitcoin. Depends. I think they could have. Sweden's a really great startup country. Niklas Zennström, the founder of Skype, he has a VC firm now, Atomico, and they presented statistics for the entire world. Billion-dollar startups has received a valuation of at least $1 billion in the last 10 years. The US, of course, in the first place. China in second place, Sweden in third place. We have 5 billion-dollar startups the last 10 years, and a lot of others coming up. So it's a great place for startups. But the Bitcoin companies, we have some Simpson investments in a few of those. KNC Miner has a server hall up in the Nordics. But we also have some problems. We have the banks here in Sweden. It's a problem around the world, but the banks they're skeptical to having Bitcoin companies as customers. Of course, they have to live up to the rules and regulations about terrorism and money laundering and everything like that. So they have to be able to track the money and see where they come from. So that has been the first objection. But the Bitcoin companies, the exchanges here in Sweden, have shown the banks we can do this. Our customers, they're not anonymous. They have to prove to us who they are and everything. We live up to the standards and regulations. But still, the banks are skeptical. So I've arranged a meeting here in the Parliament before Christmas with the banks and try to bridge the gap. And I met a few days ago with the Swedish Bankers Association also to find try to bridge the gap. And the reason they say that they're really skeptical about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. They don't really know what it is, and they don't really know how it works. And there have been some from the European Bankers Association. There have been some warnings in reports and everything. So they're kind of skeptical. So we have to bridge all those gaps, all those that kind of issues will come up, not just in Sweden, but in many countries. But we have to solve them here. And if we can solve those problems, the Bitcoin startups has a bright future in Sweden, I think. I read about the passport thing built upon blockchain technology, and that's I'm way too stupid to really understand the technology. It's not my area of expertise to predict or even try to guess what different currencies or what different blockchain technologies will be successful. That's up to the market, really. My job is try to get people to understand the potential, and when we see objects, when we see problems occur, I will try to help fix them, like the problems with the banks here in Sweden. I'll try to do my small part in getting that problem fixed. I haven't thought very hard about that, but I think the system we have now with the national states, I think that's going to prevail for a pretty long time. Like you said, there could be some sort of this makes it possible for companies to be more of a nation, but I think that is pretty many years down the road, because the concept of like we have today with states is a very strong concept. Not many people try to envision living in another way. I think it's great if people do and try to change the world even in that aspect, but I think that's pretty many years down the road. The whole book is the strongest argument I've read for democracy. It starts out with an example from 100 years ago or so, when people in the market try to predict the weight of an ox or something like that, and the guy who ran the experiment, he thought that the experts, the guys dealing with ox, whatever they're called, the farmers, they should be the ones who predicted most accurately the weight of the ox. But it turned out to be the whole crowd who was the best at predicting the weight of the ox, not just the experts. And that's a very strong argument, and the whole book with a lot of examples is a very strong argument for democracy, and that people in groups, in small groups or in huge groups like the internet has made possible, is really the best way to innovate and move everything forward in the world. And what we're seeing now, that the whole world is getting connected. Now like 2 billion people has a smartphone and getting connected. in 3 or 4 years, 5 or 6 billion people is going to have a smartphone. Everyone's going to be connected. Our intelligence, our collective intelligence around the world is going to increase in magnitudes. We're going to see innovation like we've never seen before. Here in Swedish politics, and I'm sure many countries, we talk about we have to create innovation, we have to create systems for innovation, blah blah blah. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think all the innovation is going to be a problem to handle, because a lot of it's going to disrupt things. That's one of the things I really like about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and I admire all the people in it, because they're going up not just against one 500-pound gorilla, they're going up against two. The first one being governments, who has a monopoly on currencies, and the second one being the whole financial world. That's two big 500-pound gorillas, and they're going up against it. So there's going to be a lot of fighting, a lot of going on. But we have to show that this has huge potential for humanity, I think. I'm trying to do my small part in making this a better place to live, not just Sweden but the world. And I see all those, but I know that during my lifetime, things in the world generally has become much better. And I think that would be the case for the future as well. But it's not going to happen just by itself. Everyone has to participate in that. I have to do my part, and you have to do your part. But I think technology, and I think the internet and the way we're getting connected, that's a huge opportunity for humanity. We can take some great leaps forward. So that's what I'm trying to be a part of. But with every new technology, there's great hope, but there's also it could be potential problems like privacy. That you and me, that we're sitting here, that's now government knowledge, or it could be. You have your iPhone, I have mine, that's been registered in a database that, because of EU regulation, has to be collected and saved and made available for governments. And that's just one part of it. You can really find out extremely much about people's private lives, and that's a potential big problem in this world that we have to really try to handle.